So what they wanted to do, the intention was, because the thing is, in the 80s, when you thought of breakdance, you thought of Breakin the movie. You thought of Breakin 2, Electric Boogaloo, all the corny stuff that we watched in the previous episode. And it was electro. The sign of the time, even now when you watch Stranger Things and everything that's nostalgic 80s, it's all electro or synth pop music. And at this time, Wiggles and Legs were like, no, we're not Bambaataa, we're not Planet Rock, we're hip hop. So when they meant hip hop, they want to be referred to like a Rakim, like Eric B. and Rakim. They want to be more associated to Big Daddy Kane. They want to be associated with KRS-One. They want to associate with what was being played. The guys that were performing at the Latin Quarters was like these guys, Public Enemy. And the thing is, a lot of that influence in rap at that time were the 5%ers. Now I'm going to pull up what the 5%ers are. So if you don't know about the 5% Nation, I'm going to show an article real quick or I'm going to show the Wikipedia on Clarence 13X. So Clarence 13X was a member of the Nation of Islam, right, under Elijah Muhammad, who Malcolm X was under Elijah Muhammad as well, which is like, the Pan-African movement of Muslim Islam. It's different from Islam because, obviously Islam has its roots in the Middle East, but these are influenced by coming to America, Farad and Elijah Muhammad coming here and starting a sect of Islam called the Nation of Islam. And obviously the most famous minister was Malcolm X, who was under Elijah Muhammad. Now in Malcolm X's temple, he had a guy named Clarence 13X. And Clarence 13X, basically, he was part of that same temple or mosque. But the thing is, he wanted to recruit people to the Nation of Islam.
That name is crazy.
So the problem with, or the challenge with getting people into the Nation of Islam is you have to dress up in a suit. You can't eat pork. You don't mess with white women. You can't drink. So to convince a lot of kids to do that, it was a no-go because kids want to party. They're young. They want to do stuff. So he found a way to kind of bridge the street kids, a way to enter into, maybe if they go through the if you're the 5% Nation, maybe you can actually and this is all, I could be corrected. Correct me in the chat if that's the case, in the comments. It was a way to transition into the Nation of Islam. So that's what the 5% Nation is. And the reason why go ahead.
We have a lot of influence. Our hip hop is definitely directly influenced by this group right here. Yeah. I was talking with Why Not about that, and he was telling me that like the whole, your real name's not Profo, you know what I mean? Yeah. But they give you a name for your cultural, like identity. That comes from the 5%ers as well.
Yep. Yeah. So it's like, you might have a son Allah, or you might have Rakim, or you might have Raekwon, or you might have
an alias, right?
An alias, because it's kind of like why the whole from Nation of Islam, right? Why he was named Malcolm X, because Malcolm he was Malcolm Little, but because Little is a slave name, a slave owner's name, right? That's how you know you're a slave under that. So if your name was like Jason Washington, most likely you come from a lineage of a master of Washington that owned a bunch of slaves in that property, right? So Malcolm Little was kind of like, okay, he's, Malcolm Little's the name of Little, the slave owner named Little. So X was a way to erase all that. So same thing with rebirthing your name, was kind of like we're getting rid of your slave name, and we're creating our own identity. So that was like one of the things of just like what the 5%ers did. They had these names, and the reason why it's called 5%ers is 5%ers are the poor righteous teachers. So the 85. So there's like a kind of a derogatory term that 5%ers say, the 85s. If you're at 85, if you're at 85, it's like you like pop music, you eat pork, you're basically mindless, and you're a sheep that likes anything that's pop culture, doesn't question anything. Then there's the 10%, which is like, you could say that the Illuminati is the 10% that own everything. Then the people that know, they call them the 5%, the poor righteous teachers. They're poor, they're righteous, but they're trying to teach the youth. So there's even a hip hop group called Poor Righteous Teachers. So what we're gonna play now, and it's like everyone's like, how does this relate? Well, Rakim is a 5%er. Big Daddy Kane is a 5%er. Even though KRS-One is universal, he takes a lot of the philosophy in his music and the way he talks about the 5%ers. Another big guy is obviously a clip I'm going to play right now. Is Lord Jamar. Lord Jamar really popular now. DJ Vlad made Lord Jamar very popular because he's very controversial on what he says. He says a lot of wild shit, right? But he stands true to the 5% nation. And he's part of Brand Nubian. You know, punks jump up to get beat down. He was in that song. And he's a very popular podcaster now. And here's an interview at a barbershop podcast where he talks about the 5% nation and mathematics. So mathematics is actually a numerology that most 5%ers practice, but is actually a stem from the Nation of Islam as well. So we're gonna hear him break down some of the numerology, and I'll go with it too. I'll kind of like pause it and kind of like confirm some other stuff. So let's watch that now.
Let this be a team. But the basic breakdown would be the number one is knowledge.
Or man. Number one is knowledge or man.
The number two is wisdom.
Or woman. Number two is wisdom or woman.
Number three is understanding.
Understanding or child. Because if you have knowledge and wisdom, it equals understanding. Or if you have man, woman, it equals child.
The number four, now depending on who you were taught by.
What's that?
Some people will say
right now, man.
Hell yeah. Well, we got to break down the hip hop philosophy that Rocksteady was trying to spread before we even go into the breaking. Because this is the energy behind what their intention was. You know what I'm saying?
Just culture, or some people will say culture freedom. I was taught that it's
cultural freedom. So if I go man, woman, and child, you add that together, they become a culture. So if you notice, everything's adding up. Everything's adding up. Let's keep going.
Yeah, the
culture freedom. So I always say culture freedom. Okay. Then you go to the number five, which is, so again, depends on how you taught. People just say power. I was taught it's power refinement. Okay.
So from culture, you get power refinement, meaning refining the culture. It's not just a bunch of people. They're starting to educate.
6 is equality. 7 is
God. Equality and knowledge and society. 7 is God.
Destroy. 9
okay, build is destroy. Build or destroy. You can actually build or destroy relationships or things.
And 0 is Cypher.
Okay.
1 is born and 0 is Cypher.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So that was the part I want to get to. Cypher. In the 80s, we called it a circle. We never called it a cipher. Never, ever, ever, ever called it a cipher. We didn't know what this was. So this is what Rocksteady, because in a cipher before, back in the day, like we're talking late 80s, early 90s, if I get in a circle with someone and we're building, that even that term building is from that. It's from the 5%ers. That language, let me build with you. That's from the 5%ers. So if we're in a cipher in a circle, we might be huddled in a fire in a cipher. That's what it is. And I'm going to build with you in this cipher. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So this is the language that, dude, 90% of B-boys and B-girls don't even know about. They just use the word. They just use these words without even knowing why they say it. And that actually triggers me. Because like, yo, know what you're saying. You're saying it for a reason. You don't even know. You're just hearing it from secondhand. You know what I mean? You didn't do the knowledge. You didn't build with anyone. You didn't do your 80, what they call in the 5% nation. You didn't do your 180 degrees. You know what I'm saying? So that's a culture that obviously Wu-Tang is very big of. This is why when Old Dirty Bastard said Wu-Tang's for the children, he didn't say because it's like it's Wu-Tang. No, Wu-Tang is for the children because we're 5%ers and we're poor righteous teachers that try to teach the youth. So there's a spiritual aspect to our music versus all you guys. That's what Old Dirty Bastard was trying to say. But people were like, oh, he's just a crazy dude. But that's what he was trying to say. There's a spiritual element. And this is the culture part that's lost. There is a spiritual element. That's why there is, like, why this music lasts, because it's religious, because it's from Islam. The influence is from Islam, not even Christianity. It's from Islam. We're using Islamic words. Cypher in Arabic is 0.
Yeah, it also means it means a code or the sky's way of writing or something like that. That's where we popularly hear the term decipher, right? When you're trying to figure something out.
Yeah.
Cipher is, so it's one of the ways that is, we communicate, and we do that through poetry, aka rhyming, aka rap, hip hop music. We do that with our movement. We do that with the way graffiti. This all the ways we segment elements to create our own interpretation of things, man. It's that's what it is. The cipher is the place for that.
Yeah, but my thing is the language of it being from a 5% angle, from Islam, and we're kind of just like, no, and that's why it's like mainstream music can't understand this. It's too deep. It's too religious, and that's why it's like kind of why that was the intention of the true school, was that intention of know this knowledge, not just the breaking, not just that move. Know this. Know it's from God. Know it's 7. Know it's, build or destroy. No, that's like knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and as a culture, and we're a culture, let's not break that away. So that's what's lost actually in breaking right now. It's gone. It's gone. You know what I mean? Like pretty much. No one understands it. Everyone's wearing Versace.
Can you tell by observing that it's gone? Can you tell who actually knows?
Not a lot. Those who pass it on, that live it, they learned it from their cousins or uncles, and they have a dogmatic thing, but not knowing the reason why. They don't even know the why. They just are listening to their elders versus like, why is this? And so that's why, to me, this episode, I needed to begin the 90s episode with this, because this was the intention behind the campaign, right? It was like, let's stay away from the 80s. It's not fun. It's not glitz and glamour and Hershey's and Fred Flintstone. No, it's a spiritual war. It's spiritual. We have to stand by this first before anything else. And that's the thing. It got lost. Now it's back. We're getting back to that. We're getting back to the glorification of it. We should be more on a Wu-Tang kind of like feeling, but we're not. It's just now it's just moves. So there's context that's gone. This minor context will shape your philosophy of the movement.
So what is this Wu-Tang feeling you're talking about?
It's that connection to like, connection to spirit, connection to like, there's a order of operations, build knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, build or destroy. Can your movements be like this? Can your philosophy? So even Kanye West understood, even though he's not 5%er, he understands it. And that's why the music that he makes is beyond everyone else. He understood this culture. There's people that don't practice. I'm not practicing 5%er, but I studied it a lot. You know what I mean? If you're part of even Zulu Nation copied the 5%ers with the infinity lessons. The infinity lessons were like given to the Nation of Islam. And then they just got passed to Zulu Nation. See what I'm saying? So there was this philosophy of hip hop that's behind this. And the boom back, especially in the early 90s, it was pushed. Late 80s, early 90s, it was pushed. But then as gangster rap came, it kind of got pushed out. Popularity got too serious. It got too political. Everyone wants to have fun. Everyone wants to go to their primal instincts versus like their higher higher selves. And that's what these lessons kind of did. So it's like kind of like the lessons of higher building your movements than just head spins. Head spins is an 85 thing. Not the head spins move themselves, but the flashiness is an 85 philosophy. Oh, that's flashy. That's cute. 85. Oh, I like Puffy and Mace. 85. I like these mainstream things. 85. Dumb, deaf, and blind, as Elijah Muhammad would say.